It needs to be profitable. It needs to be scalable. It needs to be enduring, and it has to be satisfying. These are all elements that go into it being truly sustainable, which meaning it can last. And I'm going to go through each one. Profitable is basic, right? You want your revenue to exceed your expenses. So that means you're not putting more into it than you're getting out of it for the long term. Yes, there's going to be a little bit of a hockey stick, like you're going to be investing more into things and then it starts to get profitable. But at some point it needs to be. And if you're 6 months in, a year in, and you are almost losing money or not accounting for any of your time, you need to consider that, and you need to consider, like, am I realistically able to do this for the long term? Am I able to make enough to keep it going? Could I be doing other things in my life and earning? So you've really got to give yourself a point where you have to reflect on this honestly with yourself, because at the end of the day, this is why you're here. It's to do the work, and it's to also earn something from it. So when you're trying to earn from it, and you're not a nonprofit. So scalable is basically taking profit and knowing that you can actually, at scale, you can earn from it. So you could have a low profit margin, but if you have lots of members, for example, you will end up with still like a decent amount of, you've paid off your expenses, you're paying your salary or whatever. So you have to know that this can work, and that it's also becoming more efficient to run and grow, and that adding more members doesn't significantly add more time. So if you've got a membership that you're like, oh, every single person who comes in gets all these things or private things or whatever it might be, then you're looking at that going like, would this really work with hundreds of people in it? Or would I have to add new staff or more calls? You just want to really look at that. Like, can you scale this? And if you can't keep growing it, then you have to question it's not really sustainable either. So just thinking about over time, like, what is it costing you to deliver it, and can you truly grow? Because it's usually we're going into building a membership because we know that it can grow and that it gets better with more people to some point. And you just want to make sure that it doesn't double the cost or double the amount of work. When you say get double the amount of members, it's not really the point of it. You want to make sure that it can last for people. So you don't want necessarily it to be, even if you're charging a lot for it, people to come in for, say, a month. That's not the purpose of it. So you want people to stay for the long term, or at least some people stay for the long term and get more out of it over time. And you want that price aligned with your long-term goal, that they would value investing in order to get that result. And this is where you've got to really understand your member lifetime value and get clear on what that is, because knowing that, you can adjust your pricing based on that, and you can make decisions on that because you're getting a sense. So that will help you figure out, if you already have a membership, how long are people staying and how much are they spending, and is it really worth it to you? Because some people will have really big courses, for example, inside. Like, I have a big course inside my membership, and there was a period where I was charging monthly for it, and I thought, I'm not comfortable with somebody coming in and spending $97 and like getting $1,000 course essentially and then leaving. So I decided to change my pricing because I was not cool with that. So this is really interesting. This is something that you can figure out depending on how you're pricing, what you're doing now and how long they're staying and what you feel like the value is. Like, does it make sense that they have to stay longer to get more out of it? Or are they just be able to get everything they need and leave in a month? And you just want to make sure that you're really thinking through about helping at least a portion of the people for the long term. Serving your members in exchange for the amount that you're receiving from them, that is subjective and that may change, but you do want to make sure that you're feeling really good about it, because you have to show up well, you have to show up enthusiastically, you have to show up as a guide and a leader, and that's going to help them get more out of it, refer, be happy, give great testimonials. So this is ultimately part of sustainability. If you hate it, you're not going to do as great of a job. So this is part of where sometimes if you feel like you're not getting enough out of it for the time you put in, you will feel maybe resentful and not feel as inclined to sell it or show up or give good value. And that's really what your job is to do. So you just want to make sure that this is part of it, because a lot of people, what you're really excited to get when you first launch, a year from now, if that hasn't grown, that might not be as satisfying. So just keep that in mind. And it sounds like some people who are questioning their pricing, it could be that is part of the factor. Like, oh, when I first started this, I was like, yay, $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month. That felt like, awesome. And now I'm like, wow, this has been day in, day out for a couple of years now. And I'm questioning that.